Welcome to CityMakers Voices, presented by the Holcim Foundation. In this series, we sit down with the top minds shaping the urban environment. Our first episode is with Përparim Rama, the architect and urban designer who was elected Mayor of Pristina in 2021. He sits down with our host, journalist Nolan Giles, at the 2025 Holcim Foundation Awards in Venice. Here, a project transforming a derelict Pristina brick factory into a hub for art, technology and gastronomy was being awarded. He starts by sharing his journey into office.
I lived in London for 29 years and I have my architectural practice there, architecture and urban planning practice. So I was invited to run for a mayor about 4.5 years ago. And this was obviously a surprise to me because I was never involved in politics. The party that invited me was an opposition party that I guess it was believed that it was impossible to win the race. And when I hear impossible, I get excited, because I want to show that nothing is impossible. And so I joined the race, I won, and I have been a mayor for 4 years. I've just been recently re-elected as well, so I've got another 4-year term running the city. So, of course, as an architect, as an urban planner, being a mayor, it's like an extension of what I used to do, but now at a different scale, at a city scale. And I think it gives me greater power to be in the position that I'm in now, knowing that I come from an architecture and urban planning background and I understand the city and how the city works, how the city functions from multiple layers, and how one can start thinking about the private sector, the public sector, the rules, regulations, the politics and all that. Politics, of course, I had to learn about, but I feel that I've now, after 4 years, I've learned quite a bit. So I feel that the city is in a great position, to push ahead, to push forward with transformation, to be creative, to be innovative, and to bring all synergetic forces together from private sector and public sector in order to make something new, something different, something with a unique character. And this is something that I've been saying, that Pristina has to have this own unique character, this own emotion, so to speak, that provides this feeling that makes people want to be there, live there, create there, innovate there. So it empowers people. It's like, how do we create a city that empowers people? And so this has been my mission.
So, simple question, why do architects make good mayors? Because you're not the first architect mayor, and a lot of these architects that come into cities, maybe they do come in at a specific time when it needs a bit of a creative push and where there is change going on and there is a sense of momentum. But from your perspective, what is it that you bring as an architect that maybe a career politician just wouldn't?
Well, I think as an architect, especially, I guess, architect perhaps trained and educated in London, I think in Britain, which I still feel it's probably one of the best places in the world, for architectural education. The discussions that happen at an architectural university and studio-based kind of design and work, where you're pushed and learn to actually work together in teams. And then you have to take into account these multiple factors. How do you bring all these different parameters that you need to bring together in order to create a product that works for the client? And in the case of the city making, it's pretty much a similar process of thinking creatively and thinking outside of the box and resolving difficult situations, difficult, for example, tasks that you need to think outside of the box of how to resolve them within limited time, limited budget, limited political will, perhaps, or how do you even engage that political side, which is very abstract, which has no logics to it most of the time. Things happen, and this is probably the main difference between being an architect and being a mayor, is that architecturally, when you are dealing with projects, almost everything is unknown. You request, we want to know what the budget is, you want to know about the function of the program, what are the requirements of the client, what is the timeline, the context, the location, and you analyze everything and you put this very logical plan, dynamic plan forward, and how you then tick all the boxes and you make the project happen. This is all good, and it's very similar to what you do as a mayor, but with one big difference, is then you add to it the political aspect to it, which has absolutely no logic to it. So when you then learn to master also the logical elements, then of course you learn a lot, and I feel like I have learned a lot for the past 4 years. But definitely architectural education, but also profession, dealing with multiple parameters is a great help to put you in a very good position about city making, about city transformation, and about also always questioning, teasing answers out of the questions. If you ask the right question, you're halfway to the answer. If you frame it in the right way, you kind of almost by framing the question, you get the answer. And I think that these are all very important points that as architects we go through our education, which then structure us to be in a position to deal with complex questions, complex issues, and how we think outside of the box of making them work. And we also always question law. What does this mean? How can you interpret this? Does it really mean what you say it means? Can it mean this way? Or can you link in that one and this one and this one, make this happen? So thinking outside of the box, thinking creatively, not just logically. So it's an exciting process.
Totally. And it's great that you're here. And the reason that you're here is a project that kind of does all these things that you're talking about. We're here because of the Holcim Foundation Awards, and the grand prize winner for Europe's, the most important project in the mind of the judges who went through a lot of applications, chose one final winner, was this incredible urban regeneration project happening in your city, which is, it has a strong message. It has communicated itself well. We're here in Venice talking about it. So why is this project so great? What is the project, and why are you excited about it?
Well, thanks for that. It is probably one of the projects that was the closest to my heart, and the reason for it is that it is a site which has been derelict for more than 2-3 decades, and it has been a landfill of rubbish. And during 2022, we hosted Manifesta Biennale, which is the largest biennale for art and architecture. And prior to Pristina, we had Marseille. After Pristina, now it's Barcelona. And so that's when you start thinking about public space and how do you bring to prominence these derelict sites which have potential, but nobody dare to get involved with them, look into them, or tease something out of them. Manifesta was a great opportunity to actually go and identify these areas of potential that perhaps provide positive implications if you intervene for communities, to bring communities together to become as a space, inclusive space, spaces for art and technology. And how do you then use some sort of architectural historical heritage from an industrial era? So the idea of transforming this industrial space, this very iconic industrial space that started its life in the 50s and then, finished late 50s and 60s, and then produced a lot of bricks that build the city, the country, and actually parts of former Yugoslavia. And that was then left derelict and a garbage site. What do you do with it? So initially we cleaned it up. Just wanted to see what was left, identified these ruins, and then looked at what the city needed and the direction that we want to provide for the city and the country in terms of, in the realm now today, in the height of AI and tech aspect, and also the creative design, So we decided that this could be a fantastic space for art and technology. And as I mentioned, you need to then fuse that with gastronomy, events, performance, elements that bring the city together in this place that becomes a synergy, that becomes sort of an explosive hub of creativity. We organized a sort of international competition and then selected a winner, which was Rafi Siegel with OUD, local company, but also linked Rafi with MIT. And then we were able to tease out a lot of other aspects, philosophical aspects about what can we do with construction sites that, the demolished products, can we grind them? Can we create powder like primary kind of material source? And how we can then use robotics or something new, the AI, to produce new products from recycled materials and kind of go from your industrial 50s, 60s era of kind of old ways of building bricks to this very new creative ways of using robots to recycle materials, but at the same time create new bricks with more kind of parameters that are environmental, that creates, for example, not only in terms of shape and form, that have further capabilities to produce something new and exciting and better functioning, but also in terms of insulating properties, in terms of environment, in terms of creating internal spaces that provide kind of an environment that is healthier and has more of a positive impact on people that use these spaces. And at the same time, how do they link to the external spaces, and what do we do in terms of the program, in terms of the function, to bring people together and to celebrate life? So it's this multi-layered approach that was part of the program that was required from architects, and then the ones that were elected won. And now, of course, we're super delighted that they won the Grand Prix prize, like the best project in Europe, which of course culminates and tells us that we have selected the right people with the right design that puts Pristina on the map as a leader in terms of these new approach, creative designs that think about environment, that think about environmental architecture, that creates hubs that are not only working, but they create environment where people thrive. And it's about this holistic approach, about well-being of the people and how they connect to the environment, well-being of the environment. So it's this idea of holistic approach as we shift into the future.
So for people, maybe interested in getting into politics or interested in getting into city shaping, where do you see the opportunities and the excitement and the positivity?
I was never interested in politics. I never understood politics. I was invited to run for a mayor, and the exciting aspect for me to become a mayor was to transform the city from urban planning point of view. Once I've done that, I won, and of course I showed a vision that people aligned towards and voted me, and I've been doing this now for the past 4 years. I understand how important it is for architects, for urban planners to actually get involved in politics. Because we are the industry, we're the right people to envision the future for the cities and for the way of life. Not the lawyers, not your career politicians, but the architects, the urban planners, the the creative aspect of the industry. And so I encourage the students of architecture, the existing architects and all that, to get involved as much as possible into politics, because that's where the power is, really. That's where the true power is. As architects, as urban planners, we work within this sort of legal framework, which is set by lawyers, by other fields that do not understand the transformative power of design, of buildings that we build, environments that we build. They have a direct impact on our conscious and subconscious behavior. And so we need people to look into legislations, into laws, into regulations that understand the importance of what we design, how we design it, what we're allowed and what we're not, what we're allowed to change and what we're not. And so hence I urge the community to actually get involved into politics, because we can make change, a better difference than anyone else for the cities and the world.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was great.
Great pleasure. Cheers.
Thank you to our guest, Përparim Rama, for joining us on this episode of CityMakers Voices. CityMakers Voices is brought to you by the Holcim Foundation. It was produced by Nolan Giles and edited by Paige Reynolds, with additional production from Andrea Pugiotto. Thanks for listening. The Holcim Foundation is a non-profit organisation supporting city makers as change accelerators for sustainable construction. Find out more at holcimfoundation.org.